We have a problem. Video games have been lying to us. They tell us that the critical hit rates in Pokemon is 4.25%. That can't be true because it happens to me way more. At least that's what it feels like. Anyway, we're going to watch a video about how video games have been lying to you today.
Need more speed.
No,
Every video game ever has what we call mechanics.
What?
Whether they're as simple as
Since when? This must be recently introduced.
reloading a weapon or as complex as building a base, all of these features are mechanics. Sometimes, however, games present us with a
Oh my god, Mass Effect. We're going to be talking about one of the best video game series of all time that was a little bit of a stumble at the end, but still absolutely miraculous. Seriously, if you haven't played the Mass Effect trilogy, the Legendary Edition is so cheap. On the Steam Summer Sale, it was like £2.50, which is ridiculous for 3 of the most amazing sci-fi games that you'll ever play. I sound like I'm advertising right now, but truly, I'm so passionate about these games. I love the world. I love the universe. I'm so glad they're making another one.
mechanic that doesn't actually do anything at all, and you don't even realize it. Take speed boosts.
What?
In some games, like the original Mass Effect, sprinting does, well, literally nothing.
No, it changes the camera angle, which is so weird. You have to question, why would they do something like this? Why would they? Okay, so you press a button, the
If you're
camera
in
angle
combat,
changes.
sure, it works just fine. But if you're traversing the world, pushing the sprint button doesn't affect your speed at all.
No, it just changes the camera angle, and it changes the
It
animation
just brings
slightly.
the camera closer and changes your character's animation to give the impression that you're moving faster.
Which is weird. Why not just make the character move faster? It's not going to hurt the world. It's not going to bring down the game. The coding's not going to collapse. Surely there's already a sprint option in combat. Why not allow you to move a little bit faster? This is one of my main gripes with this, is that the overworlds are so large and you have to traverse them, and the sprint button, that doesn't do anything. Would Sonic the Hedgehog, if he couldn't sprint, or he didn't go fast, where would we be then? Society would collapse. Very strange.
In reality, there's no difference in the speed of these two videos. This odd decision was probably due to technical limitations. The hardware the game released on back in 2007 was nowhere near as powerful as today's.
I mean, okay, increase the speed by like 20%. You feel like you're going a little bit faster. There you go. Wrap it up. Surely it can't be that
So
difficult.
the devs had to force the player to move slowly in order to give the game time to load. But this fake mechanic isn't limited to third-person shooters.
It's weird because the loading thing is actually an issue with Mass Effect because they disguise loading screens quite smartly, actually. They do it in elevators. You get into an elevator, and then you have, like, squad banter as they're talking about, the aliens are pretty bad, aren't they? No, the aliens are not bad. That's actually racist. And then you have squad banter, but it's actually disguising the loading screen, which isn't very well disguised when you consider that the loading screens of the elevators take about, like, 5 minutes to actually reach their destination, which in a sci-fi world is pretty... I mean, listen, elevators in the real world don't even take that long, do they?
Many racing games have a boost or nitro button, which is supposed to give your car a crazy speed increase to help overtake your rivals.
When actually it just changes what the camera looks like.
However, in titles like Need for Speed, the boost barely increases your speed at all.
That's why you have a Need for Speed. That's actually where the title comes from. It's actually very, very smart.
There's a load of intense visual effects, and the field of view gets closer to the car, which makes it feel like you're going at the speed of sound.
It really makes you feel like you're driving a car.
But you guessed it, in reality, the change is minimal to downright non-existent. It's all
Sad.
just smoke and wing mirrors.
So sad.
Mind games.
I haven't played many of those
Some
recently.
games, particularly psychological horrors, excel at screwing with a player's mind. Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem, thrives on it. This 2002 GameCube horror title follows several characters across different time periods.
Is he getting chased by a symbol? What is going on there? I'm sorry, what is happening in the bomb right there? He looks like he's literally being chased by a symbol. What is happening? Ooh! B! Oh, and don't let me unleash Y at you. You're gonna be screaming Y when it's
As they contend with ancient Lovecraftian evils. So far, so standard. But where the game really stands out is in its sanity mechanic. The more your character is damaged by enemies, the more their sanity meter will deteriorate, causing increasingly bizarre and unnerving things to happen, including the game downright lying to you to mess with your head. like triggering a fake blue screen error message to pop up.
What?
Yikes.
Wait, that's sick.
And if you think that sounds panic-inducing, it gets worse. If you're doing particularly badly, the game will pretend to delete all your save data right before your eyes.
Which will make you insane when you think, oh no, my 3 hours of game time.
Oh man, that's the true horror right there.
That is actually messed up.
Isn't really happening.
Oh man.
Seriously.
Oh yeah, that's actually really well made. I have to applaud the developers for that. That's very well done.
Imagine not realizing this was part of the game. Some players literally went to unplug their consoles before their data could be deleted. And the lies don't stop there.
Well, and they load back in and it happens again. They're like, no! And then it's stuck in an eternal loop of unplugging their console and trying to play through the game. And they're like, well, I don't understand why it's not working. What's happening?
The devious devs behind Eternal Darkness also incorporated features where the game pretends to lower the volume on your TV, switch inputs, or even turn off the screen entirely.
That is very, very smart. For a horror game, you have to give them a round of applause for that one, folks. You have to give them a round of applause.
With all this going on, it'd be hard not to feel at least a little unnerved. After all, there's nothing worse than feeling like the horror is extending past your device and into your home.
Nothing is scarier than breaking the fourth wall. I watched the new Deadpool movie and I shit myself.
At least until...
What? Where'd it go?
Just kidding. I'm not going anywhere. If you want to keep your sanity meter healthy, though, I recommend you go and hit those like and subscribe buttons.
All right.
That way, you'll never miss out on any mind-blowing videos like this one.
I hit it. I did it.
Back to the deception.
Yeah, come on. Back to the deception. Come
Just
on.
made it. Is there anything more terrifying than a red health bar? No.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, I will say it's not that scary when you got the 5th generation low health bar song going on. I mean, this one's just a banger. If you just listen to this is great. This is absolutely fantastic. This is great. Absolute banger.
There isn't. But there's no better feeling than surviving a nail-biting encounter with just a sliver of life left, right? This is something game developers know, which is why they lie to you about it.
Wait, I think I know where this is going to go. You know what? I'm going to start guessing about where we're going to go with this. My guess for this is that when you get to 1 health, you get like you get a free hit. So you get an extra hit so you can just like shrug it off and then you die afterwards. I swear that happens in a ton of video games where they'll just leave you on a little bit of health, but they'll just have this secret invincibility to make you feel like you're doing proper goods.
What? Yep. A lot of the time, devs make that last little fraction of a health bar worth more HP than the rest of it. So when you think you only got 10% of your health left, it might actually be around 40%. Games like Doom Eternal and Assassin's Creed Origins do this specifically to ramp up the tension and give you more barely made it moments.
That's actually cool. You know what? I'm okay with this lie. That lie is totally fine to me.
That's kind of cool, I guess, but it makes me doubt every level I've ever completed. In a similar vein, other games like 1994's System Shock give the last bullet in your magazine double damage. This makes it more likely you'll get a desperate kill in the nick of time, ramping up the drama.
And they were doing this in 1994 as well? God, they're so deceptive. Lie to me more. Lie to me more, game devs. Do it. That's fine. Just take me for granted. It's okay. I'm gullible. I'm stupid. I'm an idiot. I'll believe you.
And its 2007 spiritual successor, BioShock.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. BioShock is my favorite game of all time. I have an inkling feeling that it might be to do with the health bar, because I kind of feel like when you're on basically no health, you have a higher chance of just living a hit. So it might have something to do with that.
Outright makes you invulnerable for a couple seconds when your health gets low enough.
I knew it! I freaking knew it! Oh, God, I love this game so much. Please, please play BioShock. I will spout the BioShock propaganda until the end of days. It is one of the greatest games of all time. Seriously, needs to be experienced.
Wait, am I bad at video games after all?
No, you're not. No, you're great. You're fantastic. Don't you worry.
Timer trouble. I don't perform well under pressure.
Same.
If a timer's ticking away, I start to sweat, especially when that timer seems to be going suspiciously quickly.
I really don't like it when those... Wait, no, they speed up the timer? With those seconds on actually seconds? I guess it doesn't say seconds, so it's not necessarily lying. Being lying? What is happening today? You know what? I know why I'm speaking so weirdly. It's because I haven't had my gamer subs yet today. So I haven't got the mental clarity required to record a video, of course, until I drink my gamer subs. Now, you can get gamer subs yourself. It's the link in the description. You can get caffeine and caffeine-free variations that are absolutely delicious, and you can get money off. You can save money using code Patterrz. In fact, you'd be losing money if you didn't. It'd be rude not to. Links in the description. It's really good, I promise.
Ever notice when you play Mario that the countdown timer goes from 90 to 30 in what feels like half the time? No, you aren't losing it. Mario seconds are faster. The exact time differs from game to game, but a Mario second is usually only around 0.6 real seconds. No wonder I get so panicked.
You're done. Oh, you're toasted. You're toasted. You're toasted.
Well, it's probably partly to stress out players like me, but it could also just be a technical quirk. See, the original NES console
it might be tied to the frame rate,
that the first Mario was released on couldn't keep time in seconds. So instead, the game used a shorter measure of time, and it kind of just stuck.
It just didn't know how to? How did it just not know how to keep time in seconds?
I'm still unconvinced, though. I reckon Mario's creator, Shigeru Miyamoto, just wanted to make
This is some really weird-looking AI art. Christ almighty, what am I looking at right now?
Suffer while laughing in our faces.
Jesus,
Pocket monster mishaps.
Oh, Pokemon.
Everyone's heard of Pokemon. But did you know that despite its insane popularity, the original Pokemon games, 1996's Red and Green, literally lie to your face?
What? What did they? I want to make a guess on what they're lying about, but I don't know. I actually really don't know. What are they lying about?
Back then, developer Game Freak was a tiny studio that had a nightmarish time trying to fit all the data on that little Game Boy cartridge.
Okay.
Because of this, the first games shipped with a ton of bugs and broken mechanics.
Oh, sure. I mean, they shipped an updated version with some patches, though, that cut out some of the bugs. What's it lying about, though?
The battle system proved especially difficult for the team to nail. After years of tinkering, it was only just finished in time. And finished is an overstatement. Some moves just don't do what they claim.
Oh, they're talking about focus energy. Oh, that's right. Because when you use focus energy, it actually lowers your critical hit chance.
Focus energy is supposed to increase your monster's critical hit rate, allowing them to hit harder. But, whoops, it actually cuts it dramatically.
Oopsie.
Right.
Sorry, we did the numbers
Plus,
bad.
Psychic-type Pokemon were supposed to be weak to ghost moves.
And they're not. They even had this whole thing of the anime where Ash goes to get Haunter and he recruits it, and then Haunter comes back and licks Sabrina, and it's really inappropriate, and honestly, we should call HR about that one, but still, not super effective in the original games.
But instead, they're completely immune to them. As you might imagine, this is pretty damn infuriating when you're trying to tactically win a battle.
Which is, I would assume, not that much of an issue, considering the only ghost-type moves in Generation 1, I think, is Shadow Ball even in Generation 1? I think Shadow Ball's Generation 2. This is what, Lick and Nightshade, and that's it. So really, it's not many ghost-type moves going around, and you're not really going to use Lick on an Abra, are you?
But the battle system isn't the only fibber. Originally only released in Japan, in 1998, the first Pokemon games were published in the rest of the world as the updated Red and Blue versions. And these new versions had their own issues. Most notably, kids who traded their Raichu to a guy on Cinnabar Island were shocked to read that their Pokemon had evolved. Why?
Oh, this must have been text replaced from a previous trait evolution.
Because Raichu can't evolve.
Gorochu!
The game was straight up lying. So what happened this time?
Oh, I think he's just an old man with like Alzheimer's or something like that. He probably just doesn't know it's Biden? Is this Joseph Biden?
Well, in the original Japanese game, this trade required the player to send over a Kadabra, which would then evolve into Alakazam.
See, that makes more sense.
In the new version, they changed the monster needed to a Raichu, but not the text that displays afterwards.
It's like, oh, I got this Raichu. I got this Raichu, and it's evolving. It's evolving. This Raichu, it's bigger, and yeah, folks,
making it seem like Raichu had evolved when it hadn't. See, this is why I have trust issues. Don't look behind you.
Ooh, is this PT?
If you like your horror games, you've probably heard of Silent Hills. Hideo Kojima's tragically canceled Silent Hill reboot.
Oh, wait, hold on. This is very... Wait. This is very close to PT, though, isn't it?
Its 2014 playable teaser, PT, is widely regarded as one of the scariest games ever made.
Which is, I mean, PC is quite scary. I actually think it's really funny that PT stands for Playable Teaser.
While it harbors a chilling secret most people don't know about, the gameplay itself is fairly simple. You walk down an eerie hallway exploring and solving puzzles, while a terrifying ghost called Lisa stalks you. Sometimes you'll hear sobbing and ragged breathing coming from behind you. Top tip, don't turn around if you do.
Oh god. Oh no. Ah! Ah! Oh, I'm so bad with horror games. I'm so bad with horror games. What is she doing?
Jeepers.
What's happening here?
Thing is, even when Lisa isn't making any noise, many gamers still found
Oh, Lisa, keep it down, man. I'm trying to sleep over here.
themselves feeling like they were being watched, like all the time.
They probably
To
are.
get to the bottom of this, a hacker named Lance McDonald
Oh, I thought it was going to be the hacker named
was
4chan.
trawling through the game's code, and he found something super eerie. Turns out, as soon as you grab the flashlight at the start of the game, Lisa secretly attaches herself to your back. By locking the
What?
camera into one position, McDonald captured this in all its creepy glory.
Wait, so if you turn around, does she not... You just can't see her? Oh, dude. Oh, that's... Oh, I don't like that.
She's literally always breathing down your neck. You just don't realize it.
Oh,
Ooh.
no.
This enabled the devs to replicate the uncanny feeling of being watched and boost the scare factor while keeping the gamer none the wiser.
It's so funny that one of the scariest games people are saying of all time is just a game where you walk down a hallway over and over again. You know, Kojima, he did have a good mind when it comes to horror movie.
Unfortunately,
Horror video game.
for the masochists out there, the teaser was pulled from the PlayStation Store when Silent Hills was canceled.
It is really
I
sad.
went to sleep tonight though, so that's just fine with me. Doki Doki Danger.
Wait, the game lies to you. Oh, this is going to talk about how the game is like very, very much self-aware and messes with your files and your PC, if I remember correctly.
Man, after all that horror, I need to unwind. How about an adorable-looking anime game? 2017's Doki Doki Literature Club.
I want to see the reaction of someone that doesn't know what Doki Doki Literature Club is to when things start to go a little bit off the rails. I don't know where it starts, but you have to do blind playthroughs of this if you haven't already. Listen, if you're going to play Doki Doki Literature Club, I've already spoiled it for you that things go a little bit off the rails, but it's still worth a go if you don't know what exactly happens. It is, it's kind of mad,
Presents itself as a cutesy dating sim that allows the player to romance one of 4 anime girls. Only, when you first boot the game up, it displays this ominous warning. Seems totally out of place, right?
Well, it's just because they talk about, you know, the trials and tribulations of growing up as a high school student in the modern day and age with tests and parent stress and things like that. Surely.
It's not. Despite the cute exterior, Doki Doki is actually a very disturbing psychological horror game that wears a dating sim as a skin suit. If you don't want any of the plot spoiled, I'd skip ahead now because it's really something best experienced for yourself.
It really
The basic
is. We're diving
gist
in.
involves one of the girls becoming self-aware and falling in love with the player. Not the avatar, but you in the real world. She then breaks the fourth wall and uses the game's code to influence and torment the other girls, hoping to make them unlovable to you. Sure, the game gives you a small, non-specific warning about what's to come, but nothing can prepare you for when it goes totally off the rails. I can't go into detail here without risking getting demonetized, which should tell you all you need to know. And put it this way, if you're looking for a game that'll give you the fuzzies, this ain't it.
No, it's crazy. You know, they should make a proper Doki Doki Literature Club version where it is just nice and serene and everyone's happy and you can write poems and sing songs. Like, that would be... Imagine a sequel where it is just nice and you're constantly waiting for things to go off the rails. You're constantly waiting. When is things going to go bad? When is it going to go in its head? And it never does. The entire time you get to the end of the game, you have your video game waifu and then you just ride off into the sunset. And then they shoot you.
Platforming games like Mario or Rayman are all about control. They need to feel tight and responsive, or you'll get frustrated fast. But to accomplish this, devs have some seriously sneaky tricks up their sleeve.
Ooh, do they make it easier for the player to play? No, they don't make it easier for the player. Surely they don't.
The most shocking? Those platforms that you're running along are longer than they appear.
I freaking knew it. They do. They make it easier. And you know, it really feels like that too, because you always see Mario with like one leg off the side of the thing, so you don't fall off. I guess maybe he just has really big strength in his one leg. He just titanium level strength on one leg, which I honestly, I was gonna try and attempt it. I don't think I could do it. I think I'd probably end up hurting myself. So it's not a good idea.
In pretty much every good platforming game, you get a few extra frames to jump after running off a ledge. This mechanic is known as Coyote Time, after the Looney Tunes character Wile E. Coyote.
That's a really good name for it too.
He'd run off a cliff and stay suspended in the air for a few seconds before plummeting to the ground. You might think this deception would make all platformers feel too easy, but the reality is it makes them feel normal. Most people don't have lightning-fast reaction times and need those extra few frames to time the jump properly. In fact, anytime a platformer doesn't include Coyote Time, it's painfully noticeable. 2017's remastered Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy drastically reduced the amount of Coyote Time it allowed players
That's why it feels so hard?
compared to the original trilogy.
Really?
And people struggled.
Is that why? So I'm not just bad at video games. I don't just suck at them. It's just actually hard.
So this is one helping hand that I'm more than happy to get.
Oh, man, okay.
Better than one.
I wonder why they did that.
Ridley Scott's Alien movies gave me nightmares for years. Even today, I still can't eat eggs in case something jumps out of them.
Oh,
so imagine
Jesus.
my horror when Alien Isolation released in 2014 and brought the experience of being hunted relentlessly by an unstoppable xenomorph into the video game realm. Naturally, I just had to play it. The brutal beastie is always present in the game, learning and adapting based on how you play. But as I played, I kept feeling like it was getting way too close for comfort, even though I hadn't made any noise to alert it. Well, it turns out there's more going on than the devs first claimed. See, the xenomorph actually has 2 AI brains.
2? I mean, listen, it has a head big enough to store 2 brains. I wouldn't be surprised.
The main one controls the monster and learns from your behavior as it attempts to hunt you down. The second brain, known as the director, is the one you're not supposed to know about. This brain always knows exactly where you're hiding.
I mean, the game does have to know exactly where you are, right? Because it wants to keep the tension up, so it wants to keep the xenomorph at least somewhat around you, because if it is completely random and it's off on a different part of the ship completely separate to you and you're not making noise, then there's no danger whatsoever at any points. If you consistently keep quiet, then there'll never be danger throughout the entire game.
And occasionally feeds clues to the main alien AI if you're doing too well. Say what? That hardly seems fair. Yeah.
Well, so speedrunners are just completely buggered?
And that's not all. The xenomorph also has, quite literally, eyes in the back of its head, so it can tell if you creep up too close behind it.
Oh.
Jeez. There are all sorts of processes like this going on, creating the illusion of a sophisticated alien intelligence, when in reality, it's a bit of a cheat. You can't deny its effectiveness, though.
I mean, it kind of has to cheat a little bit because the video games aren't as smart as us, not as smart as the people. No, we got the real brains, we got the hyper processors. I actually wonder how fast a human brain can process information. How many graphics cards does it take for the graphics card to be better than the eyes? How many CPUs? How many years of innovation and development is it going to take for CPUs to run faster than a human brain? Does it already happen? I think so. Wait, I think we're already past it. Yeah, I think we're actually not that good.
Buy a whole new drawer of underwear after completing this game. Barefaced liars. By now, it should be pretty clear that game developers don't shy away from deceiving gamers. But often they'll do so quite subtly. Well, not in the case of Telltale.
Oh, you know, when they say Clementine will remember that, she's not gonna remember that. Come on, they're just lying. They're trying to make you feel like your choices have some kind of impact when the amount of choices that you have to make in the game, it's kind of not going to matter at the end of the day. Some characters may be different in some areas, but the diverging storylines are simply too much for the developers to handle,
If you've ever played one of their games, you'll know that whenever you make any kind of decision, a message has a chance to pop up saying that a particular character will remember it. It's supposed to add weight to your choice and make you dread any potential plot consequences.
But we can just lie and make you feel like it is.
The reality is, there often aren't any consequences. The plot remains unchanged, and the character in question reacts to you much the same as if you'd made a different decision.
Though there can be small differences. I suppose like a lot of specific choices made over time could decide whether or not a character is on your side or against you. Like in Baldur's Gate, obviously the choices that you make determine whether or not certain characters approve or disapprove of you, which can affect romances, and it can affect like what they choose to do in the story. Not that I want to spoil anything, but having a certain character like you and trust you means that they're less likely to do something that you don't want them to do in the future. And that actually works like that. So it's not necessarily always a lie. I don't know about the Telltale games specifically because I didn't play the Telltale games. I just really like Baldur's Gate a lot. God, I love Baldur's Gate. What a really good game.
The message is purely superficial, which is outrageous considering the whole point of their game is choices and consequence. Even so, this is far from the most egregious offense. 1995's racing game High Octane.
Okay, surely there's not going to be choices in High Octane that the characters are supposed to remember. Surely
it's
it's
one
a
of the
racing
most
game.
barefaced lies in video game history.
Okay.
As with most racers, the player can choose between various different cars, each with different stats. You know, speed, acceleration, all that good stuff.
No, you're not going to say they're all the same. Surely
Only
not.
in High Octane's case, these stats are astronomical fibs. In
What?
reality, none of the vehicles have any discernible differences whatsoever. They all
they just look different?
perform the exact same. That's beyond.
Oh, okay, that's stupid. You can't have a racing game where every car is exactly the same. What's the point? I mean, to be fair, it's 1995. You know, no one's going to bring it up in their court records. No one's going to put them in prison for this now. In fact, I don't think anyone's played High Octane for about 5 years anyway.
Lazy. Gaslighting your players because you can't be bothered to implement real changes is some pretty scummy practice.
All right, to be
Having
fair, it
said
doesn't look like
that,
that kind of
not
a game.
all blatant falsehoods are bad. 2017's Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
I just realized the sequel to this game came out and I totally forgot that it did. Completely
follows
forgotten.
the titular Senua as she goes on a journey to save the soul of her departed lover. At the start of the game, the player is told that a dark rot will spread up Senua's arm every time she respawns, and if it reaches her head, all your progress will be lost.
Oh, that is interesting. I do like that. Some real consequence to dying, because in a lot of games, there simply is no consequence to dying whatsoever. There's none. You just reload an earlier save, you respawn at the nearest Vita chamber like in Bioshock. There's just absolutely no consequence. I like it when there is consequences. Like, for example, Baldur's Gate, here it comes. I'm bringing it back again. Here it is. Yeah, Baldur's Gate. There's an honor mode difficulty where it's all the difficulty is ramped up and you have one save file. If you game over in that one save file, your honor mode run is over. It will essentially delete your save. I think that's cool. I think it's nice to have a little bit of risk reward system, though this is coming from someone who constantly plays Nuzlocke. So maybe I have a bit of a skewed view because that's necessarily what I do all the time, right?
Yeesh, a permadeath system? That's rough.
That's
but it's
cool.
also a complete fabrication.
All right,
no
well,
matter
fuck me, I
how
guess.
many times the player fails, the rot will never reach Senua's head.
Okay.
So why even say it will? Well, one of the game's main themes is fear and paranoia, particularly the fear of death.
So they
To
just
instill
lie?
this fear in the player, the devs added the permadeath message, but they didn't really want you to lose all your progress and potentially quit the game.
Pussy! Just do it. Honestly, just do it. Just implement it. Just do it and see what
So
happens.
they didn't actually implement the mechanic.
Ah,
The
they
message
should've done it.
alone is enough to make every second of gameplay that much more intense.
Nah,
Damn.
just do it.
Have you played Hellblade? If so, did the permadeath lie affect your experience? Let me know down in the comments.
I never played it myself. I can't tell you. I'm sorry. I cannot tell you.
Rubber banding.
Oh, yes, I know what rubber banding is. I think rubber banding might be the most popular video game lie that exists, which is the idea that in racing games, or maybe other types of games as well, but in racing games, an AI will go faster if they're very far behind to catch up with you, or if they're very far ahead of you, they will slow down so you can catch up to simulate this effect or idea that you are constantly in the middle of or being chased close by the rest of the racers to make the race seem more intense.
Ever notice that when you're doing really well in a game like Mario Kart, Your AI opponents suddenly seem to speed up and start hitting you with everything they've got.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well, it's not just in your head. Some competitive games have a controversial mechanic built into them called rubber banding. Basically, the better you do at the game, the harder the AI becomes in order to keep it feeling challenging. In Mario Kart, this means the overall speed of your opponents will be increased if you're too far ahead of the pack, leveling out the odds.
It does kind of make good gameplay a little bit more pointless, but you still need good gameplay to be able to win regardless, so can you really say it's pointless? And it is also a similar type of gameplay systems to other games that implement like just RPGs or shooters in general, that if you are very good at the game, it will make the game harder to compensate for the fact that you're very good, so you can just breeze through everything. So it's kind of like the same thing. It's like rubber banded for different types of genres, and I don't think that's necessarily like a bad thing.
Conversely, if you're doing poorly, their speed is decreased, and you have better odds of getting good power-ups. It's designed to stop players getting too frustrated if they're losing, and to keep the game interesting if they're winning.
And Mario Kart is
been heavily
primarily made for
criticized
children.
by some people. See, rubber banding often just makes it feel like nothing you do in the game really matters. If you're punished for doing well, what's the point? And if you snatch a win from the jaws of defeat, can you really be proud knowing that the game has basically handed it to you?
You can if it's online.
Now you finally understand why I always stay firmly in last place. Hero
True.
or villain?
You can't be disappointed if you're
Everybody
last.
loves a twist. Nothing beats a plot reveal that can make you reevaluate everything you thought you knew about a story. But what if that twist brings into question all of your own actions? 2008's indie darling Braid presents exactly that scenario.
I remember when Braid came out. Oh, people love this game.
In this charming platformer, you play as a character called Tim, seeking out a princess who's been kidnapped by a horrible and evil monster.
Oh, I bet the horrible and evil monster isn't so horrible and evil as they want you to be thinking.
Seems simple enough, until the player arrives at the final world, that is. See, Braid has a funky time reversal mechanic, and the last level actually takes place first in the story's timeline. When you begin the final level, Tim follows the princess and works with her to try and stop an evil knight from pursuing her. Only after reaching her house, the level plays in reverse, and it's revealed that Tim was the evil monster the princess had been fleeing from the whole time.
What? Oh, wait, what? Hold on, that's actually just blew my mind, and I've never even played this game. I have no investment in these characters whatsoever, and I'm just like, wow, that's pretty sick.
She was rushing to the knight for help, not fleeing from him. Damn. I know I said I love a twist, but it's not fun realizing you were the bad guy all along.
Wait, so
Imagine finishing Mario and finding out that the Big M was actually a sadistic monster trying to kidnap Peach. Yeah, there'd be a whole generation of traumatized children. Sorry, not sorry.
So does Tim actually
a different
kidnap
perspective.
the princess
First-person
or what?
shooters are one of the most popular gaming genres around. Is there anything more immersive than fighting a battle through the eyes of a soldier? Probably not, just so long as you don't look too closely. And that's because you don't just...
Yeah, I mean, it is not actually the correct perspective. I mean, right? You're not like... first off, a soldier's not always going to be running around like this, or like with the gun like in the middle of them like this. People running with like a pistol like this, it just seems like a really bad idea. Just be walking around like, all right, I'm just gonna walk around like this the entire time, like this, and then when you look down the sights of a pistol, it's like that. It seems like very awkward. I will admit though, I have never shot a gun before.
See through the eyes of the soldier, you shoot through them too. Wait, what? No, I hear you say. You can clearly see the bullets come out of the gun. Ha, that's what they want you to think. Ever noticed another player drop you from behind a box or something when only their head was visible? Infuriating, isn't it? And impossible if they'd actually shot from their gun. See, it's really difficult to program bullets emerging from the barrel of a gun and lining up accurately with a crosshair in the middle of the screen. Usually the bullets will hit a little off-center, and the player would have to compensate for this. Repeatedly missing your foes despite having them dead in your sights doesn't sound like fun, does it? So, the most elegant solution is to have the bullets fire invisibly from the player's head, straight down the camera, while fake visible bullets fire from the gun. Now, not all games do this,
They're lying
but
to
ones
us?
that don't are
that's what the whole video is about. Never mind.
few and far between. So next time you load up Call of Duty, just find the coziest hiding spot you can and poke your laser eyes of death over the edge.
Did you know that Cyclops from X-Men does not actually shoot any kind of heat or laser, but merely a kinetic energy that does more physical damage? I didn't know that until recently. It's just how it works.
Thank me later. A little help? There's nothing fun about losing. Something game devs know all too well. So some will secretly make adjustments under the hood to lessen the blow of failure and keep you playing for as long as possible.
Is this what I was talking about before with the rubber band?
Spyro the Dragon and
Oh, I love Spyro!
Resident Evil 4
Wow, that is a combination that I never thought I'd see. That is a really weird combination to have just pop up
can
randomly.
dynamically reduce the challenge in their levels based on the player's performance.
There we go. That's what I was talking about when it comes to rubber band, and other types of genres use the same thing. It's basically rubber banding, but for the other types of games.
For example, if you end up failing loads of times at a certain point, the game might remove some of the enemies in the area you're struggling in, all without you ever being told. In other games like BioShock, the devs do their best to prevent frustration from the outset. The menacing big daddies have their run speed reduced when you aren't looking at them.
Oh, that's smart. Also, I love this art, can I just say? They have the run speed reduced because they go very fast. They come at you like rockets.
To avoid confusing off-camera deaths. On top of that, enemies with ranged weapons will always miss their first shots, to give the player a chance to react without being blindsided.
Okay, maybe they're just like very bad shots.
Shooters like Spec Ops The Line do this too. And although it's unconfirmed whether bigger games like Call of Duty harbor the feature,
they probably do. I mean, let's be honest, the AI's aim in Call of Duty is absolutely abysmal.
I wouldn't be at all surprised.
Both your partners and the enemies. Seriously, you ever try to watch one of your teammates in Call of Duty get a kill? They're so useless. I know they don't want the AI to play the game for you, but my god, they make them look completely incompetent.
I mean, it makes sense. No matter how good you get, getting shot in the back without warning will never be fun. But what about those players that just aren't good? Well, in some multiplayer games like Gears of War, new players are given significant boosts to their stats for their first few kills. See, devs figured out that players who performed poorly in their first match
don't want to play again?
Were unlikely to play again.
Yeah.
So they made it easier.
Gears of War, I will say, is a very hard game to play.
But
it's
only
not easy.
for a little while. A few matches in and the playing field would be leveled. In a similar vein, some games, like modern Call of Duty titles, use a skill-based matchmaking system in their multiplayer.
I see people complain about skill-based matchmaking online all the time. I don't really get it. I feel like it makes the most sense unless you just want to like dunk on people that aren't very good. I understand like not wanting to get into lobbies constantly full of sweaty people, but the more you lose, the more you'll be downgraded in the skill anyway. So if you find yourself getting dunked on too hard, eventually you'll find people around your level regardless. I feel like people that, United GYT? Dude, is this Dylan? No, it's not. I'm sorry, on the left there, the player character is United GYT, which makes me feel like it's Dylan, United Gamer, my friend. That can't be Dylan, surely.
The idea is to match players of a similar skill together. That way, gamers are likely to get a few kills and not have their asses handed to them by a more skilled player. Unfortunately, this system also leads to more boring matches. If you improve at the game, you're just paired with better people, so it never seems like you're actually honing your skills.
I mean, you can still feel like you are honing your skills because you end up playing better. You learn the maps, you learn the guns, the game, the features, the mechanics more, and you do get better at the game. Though I guess it might feel like you're not actually getting better because you're not dunking on what do they call them? You're not pub stomping. You're not dunking on the Christmas noobs. Is that what they used? That's what they used to say. Back when I used to play Call of Duty, back around like Modern Warfare 2. I mean like the original Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty 4, World at War is when I played the Black Ops, the original Black Ops. That's what they used to call it.
I miss old Call of Duty. Luckily, other devs have employed better tactics to make their games more fun. 2016's XCOM 2 is a turn-based strategy game where soldiers fight aliens. Each attack you make has an accuracy percentage. The higher the percentage, the greater your chance of hitting.
No, all these percentages are lies. Nope. Every percentage chance of hitting is lies. Every time I miss Metal Claw with a 95% hit rate, playing Baldur's Gate, I missed a 95% chance twice in a row. What's up with that? What's going on? Lies.
The devs rightfully realize that it's not fun to miss an attack with an 85% accuracy rating. So the game secretly boosts the accuracy of these moves to 95%.
No.
Feels good, right?
Nah,
and some LEGO games play
way.
similar tricks. In massive firefights, the game only allows a handful of the enemies to reliably hit you with their projectiles. All the rest are just there to make the scene feel more chaotic.
Oh, well, this makes sense. It's actually lore accurate because you can see these enemies are actually stormtroopers, which you can't hit a thing, apparently.
They'll still fire at you, but never actually hit.
Which is weird because the stormtroopers are supposed to be the elite troops, like the best of the best. The Imperial Army is supposed to be made up of regular troopers that look like, your standard rebel soldiers. And the stormtroopers are supposed to be like the top of the class, the best of the best.
Man, it really makes you think. Are you playing the game, or is the game playing you?
Ooh.
I Spy. I love open world games, but what if I told you that mountain you can see in the distance utterly ceases to exist when you look in any other direction? Now, hear me out.
That makes sense.
Modern games can be big, and it takes a whole lot of processing power to render massive, detailed game worlds.
God, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a beautiful game. Oh man, it's such a pretty game.
Forcing developers to come up with tricksy solutions. Take 2017's Horizon Zero Dawn, a huge and groundbreakingly beautiful open-world game for its time. So beautiful, in fact, that the devs couldn't actually render it. At least, not all at once, anyway. Instead, they used a neat little trick called frustum culling. It might sound like a horrid form of body modification.
This is interesting, though, because I feel like it would be so hard to implement because as soon as you do something slightly wrong with this, you just don't load in something when it's supposed to be loaded in, you've really broken the immersion completely. But it's a good idea to save on resources because you don't necessarily need to render something if it's not in view. No one can see it. If you can't see it, is it really there? If a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, does it really make a sound, etc., etc.? Yes, it does. Of course it does. It's stupid to think that doesn't.
But it's really a genius technique for rendering hefty game worlds. The basic idea is everything you look at gets fully rendered, while everything outside of your field of vision doesn't. Then, as you turn around to face the other direction, the new areas are generated quickly just out of sight, and the old ones are removed. This saves your console from having to load the whole world at once, enabling silky smooth performance without sacrificing on graphical fidelity.
And it works, so you can't really complain, right?
So yes, in many games, anything you can't see literally doesn't exist. The only thing
they have no object permanence! They're babies and children!
Behind you is a cold, uncaring void of computer code. Jeez.
What happens if you walk backwards? Does it load
Way to
in?
kill the vibe. Having said that, being able to turn away from somebody and erase their existence would be pretty useful in real life sometimes.
That would be absolutely
After
insane.
all this time, we'd like to officially introduce you to myself, Jay, and Wesley. We are the narrators here at Be Amazed. But we also know you guys tend to have a favorite for certain videos and topics.
Oh, I didn't realize there was two different ones to this channel, but that's really cool. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me while we react to How Video Games Live. If you want to see more of my dumb face, then you can always subscribe here as well.